Welcome to Temple Street. I'm Yasmine Julmisse.
And I'm Elizabeth Cilanto. On today's show, we'll learn about Suffolk University's new partnership with the Boston Herald, explain how technology might affect face-to-face communication, and have a sit-down interview with sports reporter Mike Karaji from the Boston Globe.
We will also learn about a new housing initiative in Malden and take an exclusive look at a new designer featured in this year's New York Fashion Week. And our critic at large, Kat Pastor, is in the studio. Kat, what do you have for us today?
Today I'm going to be talking about the past and present of rock and roll.
Ooh, sounds good. I can't wait. But first, the news. With the abrupt closing of the Boston Phoenix and recent news that the Boston Globe is up for sale, many have been questioning the future of the newspaper industry in the Boston community. Nick Baruso and Lara Fernandez have the story.
Last year alone, a total of 152 newspapers were shut down in the United States. The newspaper Death Watch reports that 56% of the U.S. population read a newspaper daily 2 decades ago, while only 29% do so today.
The newspaper industry has been hit hard due to the popularity of electronic media, such as these tablets. But some newspapers, such as the Boston Herald, have taken advantage of this platform change to maintain their audience.
The game all along has been to make up in internet sales, advertising sales, and readership, and now in our e-reader, what we have lost on the print side. And clearly we have lost circulation on the print side.
Cohen says that the Herald's print circulation has decreased by 50% in the last decade. To compensate for this loss, the Herald has introduced an e-reader version of the newspaper. While newspapers seek to adapt to this change, the Pew Research Center reports that 60% of people under 25 get their news from digital sources rather than TV, radio, and print. Information consumers now expect to get whatever they want, whenever they want. Tablets, e-readers, and smartphones speak directly to that need.
I like to get my news from my iPad because it's more convenient and it's faster, and I can also watch videos.
Well, I like newspapers, but I also every morning read the Drudge Report online. You can get it for free, and I have the icon, click.
I get my news from internet, especially Twitter. Everything is faster, you can read it everywhere, and you are like constantly reading news and news.
I like the tactile feel of newspaper, and I like to read books, and I don't like to read them on a Nook or a tablet. I just like to have the book in my hand.
While research indicates that younger people generally get their news through digital media, it is unclear if this has to do with age difference or if it is simply a habit of a generation that is used to getting their news from a piece of paper.
There is still a few of us dinosaurs out there that much prefer getting ink on our fingers.
This is Lara Fernandez reporting for Temple Street.
As a responsible citizen, it's important to stay informed. The Pew Research Center reports that people who get their news from digital devices often read more, and they're also getting information more often.
Well, I mean, if people are still gaining the knowledge, then why wouldn't we accept the new change?
I agree. As they say, knowledge is power.
Agreed. Technology has become a major component in our daily communication, and while being constantly connected opens up new opportunities, some studies say it may have a negative impact on face-to-face communication. Temple Street's reporter Fred Asai has a story.
Around the world, millions of people are using technology for communication. Whether it's a cell phone, tablet, or computer, people are constantly hooked up. A study published last spring by Pew Internet found that nearly 90% of American adults now own a cell phone. And while there's no doubt that these technological advances have made it easier for us to connect and advance our business practices, there's a growing concern that our interpersonal relationships may be damaged. Professor of Communication Bruce Wilkogren says that how we use technology has the most effect on face-to-face communication.
I don't think it ruins it. I think that it has the potential to ruin it. It is not the technology itself that is creating havoc in relationship. It's the way that we use technology. I think the biggest problem that we have as a culture is we've learned how to interact with each other over our centuries of dealing with each other, and technology has introduced yet added ways of dealing with people.
In fact, cell phones are becoming so versatile, experts say some people are becoming too dependent on them. According to a British study published last summer, 66% of people suffer from nomophobia, the fear of being separated from their cell phones.
A lot of my friends are addicted to their phones. Always have to have their chargers with them just in case it dies. Don't want to be disconnected from the social networks.
I'm probably that friend more than anything else. I don't think I know of anybody who's more addicted to their phone in terms of getting the information they need, meeting with the people they need, or anything more than I am. So I'm definitely that friend.
When asked whether our reliance on technology will become the norm for future generations, Wicklegen believes that eventually we will return to face-to-face communication.
I think we're getting to a point where that is happening. The funny thing is, I think that someone of your generation is going to discover things like handwritten letters mailed through snail mail. They're going to discover going to visit someone and giving them flowers is the hot new thing to do, and they're going to sell it, and it's going to come back.
And while it's hard to imagine life without a cell phone, computer, or Facebook, experts say it's important to remember that the use of these devices is no replacement for face-to-face communication. This is Fred Asaya for Temple Street.
We should all at least challenge ourselves and refrain ourselves from looking at our cell phone devices when we're out socializing with friends. I wonder how long we'd all really last.
In an effort to increase its online content, the Boston Herald, in collaboration with Suffolk University, is introducing a web show that will allow readers to interact with scholars and reporters to discuss current issues in the news. Temple Street reporters Molly Delisle and Kristen DeAngelis tell us more about this partnership.
Press Party is a roundtable discussion taped at Suffolk University's Studio 73 that focuses on various news topics including politics, sports, and pop culture. Each episode will be hosted by Herald columnist Joe Battenfeld, who says the internet is important for increasing the newspaper's readership.
If you're a news organization, you have to be using video, you have to be doing things on multi-platforms, or you're going to be left behind because people don't just expect to pick up a paper and read it anymore.
The panel for the first show included TV journalist Jacqueline Cashman, Boston City Councilor Tito Jackson, State Representative Shauna O'Connell, and Chairman of Communication and Journalism at Suffolk University, Dr. Bob Rosenthal. In the first episode, they discussed topics from the direction that media coverage is going due to cutbacks in local TV to Hillary Clinton as a possible presidential candidate. Future guests include politicians, reporters, and Suffolk faculty who will discuss important news topics of the week. Herald officials say Press Party is not only an opportunity to keep readership up, but also a way to appeal to younger audiences through the partnership with Suffolk. Suffolk students who intern for the show can gain real-life experience outside the classroom, working directly with journalists to gain technical experience in the studio. In future episodes, students will produce person-on-the-street interviews and broadcast items about the issues discussed in the show. Broadcast journalism major Dan McCarthy is one of the new interns.
This provides me the opportunity to not only get my voice on camera, maybe even be on camera, but understand what it takes to set up a show where there's a group of panelists discussing their thoughts and feelings on regardless of topic.
Producers also encourage viewers to ask questions, add their opinions, or suggest topics for future discussions in the after-party comment section on the site. For Temple Street, I'm Molly Delisle.
To join in on the conversation, log on to bostonherald.com and check out Press Party every Friday at 7 p.m.
With graduation less than a month away, seniors are starting to apply for jobs and prepare for their future. Mike Karaji from the Boston Globe visited Suffolk University and sat down with Temple Street's reporter Kristen DeAngelis to talk about his life as a sports reporter.
Hey, thank you for joining us today. Now everyone wants me to ask you, they want to know, how did you get your start?
I'd have to say it was a lot of being in the right place at the right time. I started off in high school. I went to Everett High School, and they had a huge powerhouse football program. So there was always a lot of big stuff to cover, but not just the people in the city wanted to know about it. I mean, it was kind of a statewide thing because Everett football was so powerful. So I ended up writing at the city newspaper for a while, the Everett Leader Herald. Wrote for the school newspaper at Everett High School, and was a sports editor. As I kept going. And then I got into a journalism program called the New England High School Journalism Collaborative. I think that's the name of it, I hope so. And it kind of pushed me into, from there, that was a summer program, and the lady who ran it liked it. She knew someone at the Globe. She told them that I hope it was like Promise or something like that. And they gave me a call like the week after that. I started as an intern at the Globe for a couple of years, just picking up phones or covering like a tennis match or something, really lame stuff. Not that tennis is lame, but really lame stuff at the beginning. But it was fun, it was a great experience. It's a totally different animal when everyone, the entire country, the entire region, I mean, the Boston Globe's really a national newspaper, especially online. And when you're a journalist, it's constant challenges. It's changing travel plans. It's, a game is flying along and you're about to send in a story in the fourth quarter, and then the backup offensive lineman breaks his arm and they have to stop the game for an hour, and you're going to miss deadline because of that. And there's just so many things that you have to do on the fly, so much impromptu work. It's incredible.
What is it like to be in the locker room with the players and athletes?
It can be intimidating if you don't have your head about you, if you're just starting out, or if you see someone, even me, I've been doing it, I've been working at the Globe alone for 6 years, and if you still see some guys are still intimidating. I mean, some guys, Kevin Garnett is, going to scare you every time you see him, and some guys just their stature. I mean, if you're interviewing LeBron James, you just know in the back of your head, this guy is going to go down. I mean, people are going to talk about this guy like they talk about Michael Jordan in 15 years from now. It can be intimidating, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you're a fan, which most sports writers are, it's exciting. I mean, it's, you're talking to these people a lot of people who you grew up watching. I mean, I'm still young enough where a lot of the guys who I grew up, loving to, watch and idolizing, they still play. And you can, it's cool. It's tough sometimes. It's a challenge to put that in the back of your mind and still be very professional. And I think I've always done a great job at that, but it's in the back of your mind. You're always thinking about it. But it's fun, and it's definitely another challenge, though, because you talk about obstacles. Well, if Kevin Garnett has a bad game, he might not want to talk to the media, and you plan on writing your whole story around him, and now 35 minutes till deadline, and you can't talk to Kevin Garnett. Just different things like that.
Now, you must be a New England fan, like Boston sports fan. Are you biased when you go to the games, or like when you write? That's
tough. The Celtics are I've grown into basketball as I grew tall. I got into basketball more in high school and in college, and it surpassed baseball for me. And I love the Celtics, and I really do. And I love going to the games. I go to many games a year that I'm not working. I go to just as a fan. But when you're covering them, and I cover them mostly in the playoffs, you're trying to be professional, and you're around a lot of media because it's in the playoffs, and Boston's such a huge market, and the Celtics have so many personalities, and it's such a great team to cover. But when you're covering Game 3, I think last year against the Heat in the playoffs, they had a huge win, and the buzzer sounds, and you're typing up your story. You don't have much time to root, but you're always kind of giving one of these under the table. You're always kind of thinking, let's go. You want to win. I mean, you always want to win.
What's like the most interesting interview?
The most interesting interview, I did just do a story, and we were talking about it earlier off the air, but on Kurt Angle, who was an Olympic gold medalist in 1996, I think, and he ended up being a professional wrestler in like the WWF, and he had just incredible stories, and from Olympic wrestling, professional wrestling, a big wrestling nerd, so that's probably why.
Is there one sports figure you have always wanted to meet?
Yeah, I never interviewed or met Pedro Martinez. I think that'd be great because he was, I'm sure if anyone's in their, 20s and live in Boston, their favorite player was Pedro Martinez. I mean, you're not really a fan if he wasn't, I think. And that'd be great, I mean, he was just known for, not just what he did, but the way he was with the media, too. I mean, great quotes, funny, personable, charismatic, knows what to say. I'd go with, I'd probably say Pedro Martinez.
Do you have any advice for future journalists?
So if you want to be a journalist, be a communications person. Know your grammar. You know how to spell a sentence, know how to use a dictionary, but more than English classes, take, communications classes, take public relations classes, take TV production classes, anything like that, because so much of it's transitioning, and everyone knows that, and everyone's scared, and, the newspaper industry is going down, and it is. I mean, the newspaper industry they're trying to fight, and the Globe's done a really good job lately of Boston.com and BostonGlobe.com kind of merging everything together. But there'll always be writers. They always want people to write. But if you can write, that's great. But if the other guy can write just as good as you, plus he knows how to put the web page together, knows how to really handle a blog, or he knows how to, do a short 30-second video, out with a video camera on the field in addition to a story, I mean, that guy is more valuable, and it's probably a certainty that company is going to be looking for someone who can do that. I mean, especially if you want a big job in a big market. I mean, maybe local city papers don't do that yet, but they will at some point, I think. I think that local city papers probably have a better lifespan right now than the big national papers, because you can get national news from so many different outlets. You know, SI.com has ESPN. I mean, anything that happens in Boston, you can still read in the Dallas Morning News as long as it's, you know, newsworthy enough. But something that happens in Everett, you're probably never going to read about in, you know, Tewksbury or something. So you still have those city papers probably have more longevity, but they're not going to be online, and that's the reason for their longevity. I think online hasn't caught up to them yet. But for the national papers, yeah, you need to know how to handle a lot of different things, a lot of different veins of communication, I think.
Thank you, Mike Karaji from The Globe, for visiting Suffolk University. Back to you in the studio.
It sounds like being a sports reporter comes with many rewards. After all, dedication and hard work really does pay off in the end.
It sure does. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back featuring a new story on a housing project and an exclusive look at New York Fashion Week.
Boston athletes have joined forces with the Sports Museum to help stop bullying in Boston.
Bullying is not a game, it's a serious problem.
If you are being bullied, you are not alone.
If you're being a bully, you can't play on my team.
If you're being a bully, stop.
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 Right now.
Stand strong against bullying.
Together we can stop bullying in Boston. To join our team, visit bostonversusbullies.org.
Boston versus bullies.
Boston versus bullies.
Boston versus bullies. Whose team are you on?
The magical thing about using energy wisely is that anyone can do it. Turn off lights. Use energy-saving light bulbs. And turn off computers and game systems when not in use. Make a change and we can really fly. Grab a grown-up and go online to energy.gov/kids.
No one likes to be there when bullying happens.
Bullying is not a game, it's a serious problem.
If you see someone getting bullied, don't just stand there and watch.
By doing nothing, you're helping the bully.
If you're laughing, you're part of the problem. Don't just stand by, stand strong against bullying.
Be a good teammate. Help stop bullying. For more on how you can be a good teammate, visit bostonversusbullies.org.
Boston versus bullies.
Boston versus bullies.
Boston versus bullies.
Let's win this one together.
Let me drive. I'm not buzzed.
No, I only had a few. It's my car.
I told you to slow down.
My dad is gonna kill me.
You been drinking? I smell alcohol. Step out of the car, please. You're under arrest for operating under the influence.
Oh, a steady, constant breath.
If you're under 21 and get caught with a trace of alcohol in your blood, you risk being arrested, fined, and losing your license for 6 months to a year. A little can cost you a lot.
Thanks to a decade of successful fundraising, a group called Housing Families has new initiatives to help serve the children of homeless families with education and therapy. Temple Street reporters Tommy Boudreau and Dan McCarthy see what great things the organization has accomplished.
An easy game to play, yes, an easy thing to say.
Open books and open minds are commonplace at Housing Families, and the program called The Great Youth and Families is opening doors for the children that need it most. While other local at-risk youth groups support educating those born into low-income families, GREAT focuses on doing more than that. Children's Director Barbara Schwartz explains how GREAT strives to support a healthy family dynamic.
We have to work on two components. One is we have to work on the therapeutic part, help them feel good about themselves, help them work on social skills, heal from anything they've been through, and then the academic part as well. So I want kids to feel great about themselves, but they still need to know their 2 times tables.
Officials say the number of children being tutored after school and put into permanent housing has increased exponentially over the last 7 years. In 2005, the organization served 56 families in the greater Boston area, a number that has tripled to nearly 200 this year. Housing Families CEO Jim Gobelbecker says with great effort and patience, volunteers are often able to turn children's frustration in the classroom into a passion for knowledge.
I think if we can ignite, and in some cases reignite, that curiosity to learn, then the future for children is really unbelievably impressive.
And that newly ignited curiosity doesn't go unnoticed by Mother Sonia Ramos, whose daughter has been in the program for 2 years.
Now she worries about the homework, focus in school, and she's more open with me.
Schwartz says that seeing these kids get excited about learning is exactly what has kept her working at Housing Families since 1993.
Most rewarding part is watching kids start to feel good about themselves and start to have academic success. When you have a kid who, dances around the office saying, "I know my alphabet," or "I'm good at math now."
For Temple Street, I'm Dan McCarthy.
With an increasing demand in help and housing, Housing Families is hoping to move the children's program to a larger location as more families and donations roll in.
New York's Fashion Week has come and gone, but the fashion that was showcased is here to stay, at least until next season. Reporters Jessica Nappy caught up with an up-and-coming designer to get her perspective on being new to the fashion world and to have her new fashion show called Coco de Milo be released.
New York Fashion Week attracts more than 100,000 designers, fashion reporters, and fashion lovers from all over the world. And while the main players include fashion giants such as Vera Wang, Prada, and Chanel, it's also an opportunity for up-and-coming new designers to make their mark and set new trends. Designer Ammna Javed headlined a show with her collection called Coco de Milo for the first time at a Mediterranean New York restaurant named Le Bain. The fashion show had a definite Valentine's Day flavor, which she blended well with a more bohemian chic influence. Even though most of her family is on the medical track, Javed said her passion for fashion developed early on, especially through world travel.
I've had the opportunity of living abroad in Japan, in Italy, in Sweden, in the UK, and Canada, and Chicago. So I take influence from cultures, I take influence from flowers, I take influence from pretty much everything day to day. And I incorporate it together, and that pretty much helps with my inspiration.
Javed's line received rave reviews from pinklocket.com, a website that started up 2 years ago offering fashion advice and sent photographers to the show. They called her line cool sophistication with a touch of Hollywood glamour. Another way Javed stands apart from the crowd is with her signature designs, especially her handmade collar necklaces. Inspired by the London fashion scene, she began making these collars years ago, and now they are making an appearance at popular retail stores like H&M and Forever 21.
Forever 21 would carry some of my regular kind of pieces that every woman would probably have at an affordable price. So yeah, it's very high street as well as high fashion.
Javed recently launched a new website where all of her clothes can be viewed and purchased online. I'm Jessica Nappy, reporting for Temple Street.
The line Coco de Milo continues to grow. Javed's next project involves designing men's streetwear.
And speaking of fashion, Temple Street reporter Ashley Casio went out to find out what are the most beloved fashion trends from the past.
This is Ashley Casio reporting for Temple Street, and I'm about to hit the streets of Boston to find out what fashion trend people would like to bring back. If you could bring back one fashion trend, what would it be?
Fashion trend, huh? So anything by Saved by the Bell was cool, so I'm going to bring back Z Cavaricci's Tight Rolled.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Oh, man, you calling me old then?
I'd have to say vintage jewelry.
It would be a little dress with the matching leggings like we used to wear when we were little in the 90s.
Because I grew up in the peacock era for men, I think I would reintroduce trousers that had many different textures and colors.
I'm going back years, wearing my dad's big, loose, comfortable shirts.
I would definitely bring back bleached hair.
Probably bell bottoms. When I was a kid, I rocked them. I had like hot pink, yellow, like different like sequin ones and stuff. So definitely, probably bell bottoms.
Reebok pumps.
Definitely the poodle skirts from the 1950s.
The swishy pants that when you walk it looks like the swishy noise.
I would bring back the mullet.
Like the florals, hippie style kind of thing.
From the 70s?
Yes.
I honestly have to say, I miss 90s fashion the most. Like, nothing was cooler than the baggy clothes look, like at all.
Well, as much as the baggy clothes were cool, I have to say, I'm a 70s girl. I love the bell-bottom jeans.
Speaking of bell-bottoms, we have a rock and roll enthusiast, Kat Pastor, in the studio today. Kat, what's new with the rock scene?
Well, I love rock and roll. I can listen to it every minute, every second, and never get tired of it. In fact, that's usually what I do. And when I say rock and roll, I mean anything from the Rolling Stones to Crew. I love men of rock and roll. I find the rockers I fall in love with are already like 40 and over, so I kind of like miss the boat on that one. But the weird thing is, I'm usually into manly men, like actor Vin Diesel or like firefighters or something, but nothing gets me going like Nikki Sixx in his little Hell's Army outfit with his painted face and red lipstick. And this might be psychological because my whole life I've been told to be more ladylike. But what's better than a dude you have 10 pounds on, shaking his hips and screaming like Vince Neil, the love of my life? I even have an airbrush t-shirt that says Cat Hearts Vince. And if anybody thinks I actually know anybody named Vince other than my dad's public defender, you're sorely mistaken. Okay, so other than the obvious dominance factor that comes with a dude you have 10 pounds on, what's better? Well, I'll tell you, but ladies, you might be disappointed. It's Rob Halford, the lead singer of Judas Priest. And yes, he's gay. But like I always say, I love a challenge. But no one can do a cover like Priest. The best part is that the song, Diamonds and Rust, is originally a folk song. Rob Halford was born in 1951 and has been recording since 1969. That's 44 years. And America's music industry could have only gotten better, right? I mean, how could it not with forefathers like these? Well, let's take a look at some of today's music, starting with the band Fun. No. Oh, I'm sorry, sissy soft rock musician. Are you gonna beat up some guy who looked at me funny? No. Are you the party animal to end all party animals? No. Can you wear more makeup than your tacky grandma in Boca and still pull more tail than Jagger himself? No. I mean, come on, you can't even pretend to be Bruce Springsteen? Now, I love Bruce, by the way, and he's got that like sexy Jersey mechanic thing going on, and I stalk him every Parents' Day that he's at Boston College. So yeah, that's it. That's what we got nowadays as rock lovers, and it's a sad state of affairs, but it's something we have to deal with. No more Nikki Sixx lighting himself on fire, and I know this because I went to a Crew concert recently. He didn't light himself on fire, he just shot fire out of his bass, but it was still cool, but you know. Gone are the days of Rob Halford being the badass inspiration for men who want to dress flashy everywhere, and gone are the days of Bret Michaels shirtless on Tiger Beat posters. Today you can have fun. And as good as it may sound, it's just not. So I leave you with this bit of advice. If a man says he is in a band and is wearing what could be classified as trousers or like whatever those Civil War capri pants things are called, as well as like a pinstripe vest or something, and he wants to talk to you about his music, humor him. You know, tell him he's a genius and he knows you and you were meant to be together. Then go back to his house, throw his air mattress out the window and peace out because you're better than that. And no, there's no truth to any rumor that I have good taste and you should listen to me because I love Kid Rock.
You're crazy, Kat, but I must say, you're only saying what so many of us are thinking. That's all for today. From Temple Street, I'm Yasmine Julmisse.
And I'm Elizabeth Cilanto.
And I'm Kat Pastor. Thanks for watching.